Welcome to the Fight Night Daily Podcast here at the Pelican, this cavernous arena here at Canary Wharf for unfinished business. Christopher Eubank Jr versus Benn 2, Tottenham Hotspur Stadium on Saturday night. The two men here for the grand arrivals finale here on Tuesday night here in London's Docklands. We're going to come to the sons after the fathers, but let's just have a little listen to what both men are going to say to the interviewer, Jake.
Here we go again. When you think about how you're feeling now, perhaps in comparison to how you did in April, just tell the world what's going through the mind of Benn a few days away from the rematch.
Yeah, listen, I'm just excited. All the hard work's done now, ready to just jump in there and do a number on him, to be honest, mate.
What feels different for you this time, do you think, and why?
Yeah, just better prepared. I mean, I've done everything I could with what I had, so to be here now, I feel more prepared. At middleweight, it's my first fight up at middleweight, so I feel like I filled into the weight nicely. Yeah, I feel good, man.
You have a word tattooed on your arm, Conor. That word is redemption. No doubt your dad's been on you already this week and throughout the build-up about what this means. Revenge, not just for the family, but for you. How much fire does that give you in the belly when you think about getting revenge and beating Chris Eubank?
Oh, it's quite funny. So I've actually got redemption and I've actually got revenge on the same night before we even fought. So it's, yeah, it's quite funny. But yeah, I'm excited to go in there and just do what we know I can do. You know, I know I can hurt him, and I'm going to go out there and capitalise on the mistakes he made in the first fight and go out there and give the fans what they want.
Told us you won't be as emotionally invested this time. You said that's what went wrong last time when you came face to face yesterday. Though a few comments about a Rolls Royce that you claim Chris paid for when he missed weight, comments about toenails as well. When he is in front of you though, do you still struggle to contain yourself at times?
Oh, I mean, listen, he ain't my cup of tea, but I haven't got to like him, you know, and that's that. But ultimately, we're going to both go in there and put it all on the line, and the best man's going to win, which I believe will be myself.
I do just want to ask you on a slightly different note. News formally announced today that Chris Eubank Jr is going to become a father to twin boys. You've got two young children at home. Do you have any parental advice, perhaps, for Chris Eubank Jr?
Well, first off, this ends here. The rivalry ends here. This is it. The Benn Eubank chapter's done. That's it, it's finished. So I hope you guys enjoy. As for the parenting tips, not really, mate. Credit to Victoria. She's the best mum there is.
Early prediction. Conor, how do you do it on Saturday night?
I go out there and give him a good beating. I go out there and beat him up. That's it. And you know, this time a little bit more calculated, still emotional. I fight with my heart on my sleeve. I'm an emotional fighter. If you followed me in my career, I'm an emotional guy anyway. So ultimately I will still be emotional, but it's down for me to keep it disciplined in there.
Okay, here we go. Chris Eubank Jr, welcome to Fight Week Part 2. Firstly, congratulations in order. I think everyone who saw the clip of you and your father formally announcing you're going to be a father to twin boys, everyone loves seeing it, and I guess when you're in a fight week steeped in history, family and father history, seemed like the perfect time to let the world know.
It's a blessing. It's a blessing, and I'm very proud and I'm very excited for that next chapter of my life.
When you made your entrance into the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium alongside your dad in April, when you made your ring walk alongside him to Simply the Best, you could see what it meant to you. But in that clip, when you gave him that news, where did that rank for you in terms of moments of pride you've had in your journey in life?
You know, this is not the environment that I feel like talking about things like this. Let's stick to the boxing.
In terms of the mindset, then, let's talk about that and the motivation. You've already beaten Benn. You cemented what many thought was Eubank's supremacy in April. So what is the big motivation for you this time round?
I'm a fighter. This is my life. This is what I was born to do. You know, I've heard people, including my father, say that retirement is on the cards. You know, I should sail off into the sunset. It's just not who I am. As long as I have that fire in me to keep getting in that ring and keep getting in them gyms and waking up early, I love the lifestyle. I love who I am as a fighter and the way it makes me feel. So that's all it is, testing myself, giving the fans what they want to see, and pushing myself as far as I can go. That's the motivation now.
Conor says he's not as emotionally invested this time when it comes to this fight with Chris Eubank Jr. Do you believe him? What have you made of his energy in the build-up this time round?
I don't know. I've only seen the guy once. He was cracking some jokes when we were facing off. It's not going to be funny when that bell goes in a couple of days' time, that's for sure. But we'll see what happens.
He says he's better prepared. How's it been for you having Bomac back by your side in this camp? What's it given you?
Bomac is a genius. This man is, you know, he's at the top. You know, he's shown time and time again that he has that secret sauce. We had a great camp for the Liam Smith 2 fight, and that's why I knew that he was the man for the job here in this rematch against Benn. We got some tricks up our sleeve.
Bomac, why is this a relationship that works, fighter and coach?
Because we both got the same thing in common: win.
What do you see being the difference or perhaps the similarities on Saturday night? How do you believe your man does it?
We going out there just to get the win. You know, if the knockout's there, he in shape to get it. But right now, we just worry about the win and nothing else about it.
Great stuff. Final one to you, Chris. I ask Conor the same question. You'll be asked this question a lot in fight week. But how do you see yourself beating Conor Benn on Saturday night when you do see the fight in your mind?
By any way, by any form, by any means necessary within the rules of boxing. Whether it's a first round knockout or a 12-round war, Chris Eubank Jr. will defeat Conor Benn once again.
Cool, calm and collected words from our two protagonists on Saturday night. A quick word on that, Spencer. Conor Benn, very cool, very unemotional. I'm going to smash him. We heard that the last time. Chris Eubank, by whatever means necessary, and I was born to do this. They both were.
Absolutely. Listen, I think that Conor Benn has got the game plan right up till now. He's got his emotions in check, and I think that was the thing that cost him the fight last time out, and he knows that, and I think that's what he's been working on, and he hasn't cracked yet. Whether that happens before the fight remains to be seen, but Chris Eubank Jr., as always, is cool, calm, calculated and collected. Yeah, it was, he knows what he's going into. You know, if the 12th round of that last fight was anything to go by, this guy knows where he's going, because I'm expecting much of the same.
It's very, very exciting here. It feels like it's been lit up. We've just had Chris Eubank and his entourage come past us. There's an energy coming off these two men here tonight. But my word, was there an energy today at talkSPORT Towers where the two fathers were reunited in hours of broadcast. It was like Eubank Benn 3 from 30 years ago. I heard a little rumour that they even crossed in the corridors at one point, and there might have been a glare and a snarl, which their sons will replicate for the Ring Magazine event on Saturday night. Let's talk about the fathers. Very, very interestingly today on White and Jordan, Boxing Board of Control brought into the discussion. Chris Eubank Sr. very unhappy about the weight that his son is having to make. 160 pounds and 170 as the first fight in the rehydration clause.
You were against the entire principle of it. You talked about legalised murder. You talked about your son being boiled down to a weight class, which, by the way, he's fought at since 2018, when he last fought at super middleweight against George Groves. So there was nonsense in that.
Don't say nonsense. You don't know what you're talking. I'll tell you why you don't know what you're talking about, because you don't know boxing.
If he fights at middleweight, if he fights at middleweight since 2018, and at the time people said he was too small to fight against George Groves at super middleweight, so he fights at a weight class for 7 years. The only boiled down argument you had, Chris, was when they wanted him at 157. That was your boiled down argument.
I cannot argue with you. You do not know what you're talking about, because you do not know boxing.
So he can't fight 160.
I speak from the inside out. You are speaking from the outside in. You don't know what you're talking about. So
can he fight at 160 or not?
Again, you know, the advice I would have given him would not to be fighting at that weight anymore. It is dangerous. You know,
what do you think of Bomac's observations? Because we had Bomac in the studio.
Don't talk to me about people.
You don't like him as a trainer?
No, what do you mean? I love everybody. The point is this.
You don't.
I love everybody. I do love everybody. Okay, the point is this. Do not.
Well, even the people that you were going to murder your son, according to you.
And I have to love them.
Or do you know why? To redeem their souls.
Yes. You know, they'll come around. They will come around.
Right. So let me ask you a question about the health and wealth side of things, why is this constant argument about Chris, your son's weight clause and the dehydration issues when he's choosing that? He's choosing to put wealth over his own health in terms of the £1 million clause that he could easily waive, rehydrate, and yet plays on that all the time, and you appear to be playing on it as well. Why are we?
I appear to be playing on what?
Well, the idea that he's been put in a situation, in the most recent state that you said, that no one's paying attention to what's happening here.
Yeah, that's
no one's paying attention to what's going on here. But you're running. Your son is running towards it.
Yeah, but
he's running towards that fire.
Okay, and he won't listen. He won't listen to the advice I would give him.
Right.
Listen, I think that Chris is, he's always had a concern about Eubank Jr. making that 160 weight, but he's boxed at that weight for a number of years now. You have to go back a number of years until the George Groves days when he was boxing at 168. So, it shouldn't be too much of a concern. I think the concern is because of the way that he struggled the last time to make the weight. But when you're tight at the weight, when you get to a certain age, cutting those last few ounces, people won't recognise how difficult that is and how wrong you can get it. And Eubank Jr. got it wrong badly last time, and I think that reflected in his performance.
The old man, Chris Eubank Sr., was triggered initially. If you go back to the rivalry between these two, and I'm talking about the sons, that goes back to October 2022, when it was abandoned in the Wednesday of fight week. And Chris Eubank Jr. had signed, even though there was the knowledge behind the scenes about the clomiphene tests, that he would make £157 on October the 8th, 2022. Chris Eubank Sr. has had a bee in his bonnet about that weight cut, about that deal since then. Now, what we need to clarify, first of all, is I think he's right. I think Chris Eubank Sr. is right that his son should not be made to make under 170. He should be allowed 10% on 160 and allowed 176. His argument is the Boxing Board of Control should be protecting boxers from that scenario because they're going to say yes anyway because they're fighters, you know this, and they're in a prize fight where they're earning so much money they cannot say no.
Firstly, thank God that fight never happened at 157. I think that we know how tight Chris Eubank Jr. is at 160.
He made the weight, remember?
We're talking about, but did you see him? Did you see him on the scales? Making that sort of weight is dangerous, and we know that we know the consequences of fighters getting in the ring dehydrated, and what can happen to them. And it can be, it can be deadly, right? So thank God that fight never took place. The rehydration clause that's put in place. Normally with the IBA, the rehydration clause is £12. Yeah. This is at £10. That was the contract Chris Eubank Jr. signed
for two
because Conor Benn was jumping up 2 weight divisions and saying, let's even this out a little bit. Now that was the deal. Let's not forget the rehydration clause last time out. Chris Eubank Jr. weighed in at £2 under the rehydration clause, the maximum of £10. So he does make it comfortably. He just missed the weight, and the importance of that is what we saw, what unveiled, in the build-up to that contest.
But he's still under pressure to make the weight. Let's listen to Chris Eubank Sr. talking to White and Jordan earlier on. So, Senior saying there, and you know this more than as well as anyone, boxers should be protected from themselves. Now, Chris did make that ghost weight of 157, if you remember. And what happened to him in the next fight? He got knocked out in the 4th round horribly by Liam Smith. I think that weight cut affected him. He shouldn't have done it.
The body never recovered.
But let's get into this issue about boxers coming up in weights. He made the argument about coming up to cruiserweight himself, and he should have been stopped from doing it. You cannot make boxers fight, and you can't stop them from wanting to go up in weight. Roy Jones Jr., you make the point, went up to heavyweight. Your mate Roy Jones Jr. went all the way from middleweight in his career up to heavyweight.
Yeah.
Now, for me, that are a legends make.
Yeah.
There's legends made by doing that.
Canelo went from welterweight up to light heavyweight. You got Floyd Mayweather that went through the weights. Manny Pacquiao was an 8-weight world champion. That's just to name a few of the fighters that have gone through there. Oscar De La Hoya, 6-weight world champion. What I'm saying is fighters do it. They go up in weights. That's not the concern for me. The concern for me is when a fighter is struggling at the weight or drops down the weight. That's when the troubles occur, because the brain has a cushioning around it, a fluid around it. And when you're dehydrated that way, that cushioning around the brain, that goes. And the blood vessels in and around the brain, they lose that elasticity.
No, we know it's dangerous. It's the most dangerous thing in
absolutely.
boxing.
So the concern is
you
coming
know yourself
down. Absolutely. The
from
concern
bitter
is,
experience.
Exactly. So the concern is coming down in weight, or when, in Chris Eubank Jr.'s case, sticking at 160, where it is now becoming visible that is that difficult to make. That's the concern, going through the weight. So I didn't quite understand what Eubank Sr. was saying when he was saying, we shouldn't be allowed to go up the weights. Well, why not?
No, I think he's hypocritical there, in fact, by saying that. What I think his point is, my son should not be in a rehydration clause of only £10 after making a hard weight cut to 160. It's been something that he's argued with. He wants all journalists to defend his son in that respect, but at the same time, he's supporting his son in this fight.
Yeah.
Look, he makes a good point. He's critical of the Boxing Board of Control allowing that detail in the contract.
Listen, it swings and roundabouts, isn't it? Like Conor Benn's moving up 2 weight divisions to box at Chris Eubank Jr.'s weight, so they want a little bit back as well, and they're saying, listen, let's cut the rehydration. Let's put a rehydration clause in there to balance it out a little bit. So, I understand it from both sides.
Chris Eubank Jr. is over there right now. Have a little glance across. He's there with DAZN doing their broadcast. How does he look at the weight right now? He looks great to me.
He looks absolutely great. But Eubank Jr., we know how he cuts the weight, and this is how a lot of fighters do it now. They drop it at the last minute. The last 24 hours, they might drop 10 pounds. You see them, the day before the weigh-in at the press conference, and you think, there's a lovely glow about them. They look good. You see them at the weigh-in, and you think, wow, the amount of weight they've dropped, it's all fluid. But they do that so they don't dehydrate, because they take it out of their bodies very quick and then rehydrate straight away.
Staying on the Eubanks, just for one last thing, Eubank Sr. revealing on talkSPORT today that he will be at the event on Saturday night. He said love, and he gave us a long poem. All that detail, by the way, is on the Boxing YouTube channel, plus the boxing show, Talk Boxing, with you and Simon Jordan and Chris Eubank Sr. and Paul Smith.
Yep.
Crowding them in there, the quartet in the studio. You can see all that on the Boxing YouTube channel as well. Let's move to the Benns. Nigel Benn and Conor Benn. Nigel Benn was tremendous for about an hour on White and Jordan earlier today.
We heard Simon there say we reward mediocrity.
Yeah. I did.
Is this another mediocre fight?
It's not a mediocre fight. With the first fight, if you watch, Conor and Chris threw more punches than Canelo and the other guy, all in 3 fights.
Crawford.
Not Crawford. The other fight.
William Skull.
Yeah, that William Skull and all the guys all of them, Haney, all of them. Chris and Conor threw more punches than in 3 fights. So, and everyone, you know what it was, regardless of what me and Simon say, people came out to see, and you know what, they were saying that was the best fight, regardless if he called it mediocre. That's his opinion. Yeah. I'm not gonna I have my belief that Conor fought the wrong fight, and it was like a bar fight with no boxing skill. But I know for a fact this fight you're going to see the best Conor.
Cool as a cucumber. What do you reckon about my theory? Both men have decided we are going to be emotionless this week. We saw it from Conor up there. We saw it from Conor yesterday at the broadcast media day, and so far it's kept Eubank very quiet. Have they made a pact to not let the emotion out in fight
Of course
week?
they have. That's what Eubank is feeding off, the emotions. That's where he's going. It's a battle of mind games right now. The fight can be won and lost right now. Maybe that was the case for Conor Benn last time, where his emotions had clearly taken over. But they're doing the right thing. I think that Nigel Benn has played it very good. He was excellent in the studio today. He was cool and calm. And we've seen the same from Conor as well. He's learned from his mistakes, and that is important.
It is very important. He's got to fight with a cool head. That's a brilliant segue, Spencer. You must have read the script, because earlier on, Nigel Benn was absolutely emotionless when the Cape Crusader himself, Simon Jordan, got stuck into him and said that first fight, the fight of the year arguably, was just a bar brawl. Take a look at this. I thought Nigel was amazing today, by the way. His son looks up to him in a big way. He leads his son in a way that Eubank Jr is breaking away from his father quite a lot. They're very different relationships. Nigel and Connor are very emotional, very beautiful people in the way they describe things. The Eubanks are cool, calm and collected. The poetry, the treaties, the great words, the erudition. I thought Nigel was very impressive. I think he's carrying his son and supporting him in a brilliant way this week.
Totally agree. I think the Eubanks are totally derailed. The relationship was totally broken for a number of years. They are now back on track. You know, it's not quite what it should be, but they are, you know, in a really good place at the moment. And, you know, with the news of Eubank Jr having the twins now and all of that as well, it's bringing the family back together, and that's what we want. That's what we wanted to see. But with Conor Benn and Nigel Benn, that relationship has always been rock solid. He's always idolised his dad, you know, and he wants to do it for his dad. You know, look at the score with the Eubanks and the Benns. You know, look at the score with Ben's coming off second best each time. Yeah, there was a draw in there as well, but they're desperate for that win. This is more than just a boxing match. You know, boxing really is the umbrella of this whole story. This is a feud that goes way, way back. Pride, egos, all of that on the line. That's why these kids will deliver on Saturday night.
And it's very rare to see the fathers of sons fighting each other in what is the biggest grudge fight in British boxing history. I mean, I've reminded you before, Layla Ali and Jackie Frazier-Lyde fighting in America when their fathers had fought 3 times. This is very, very unusual in boxing. It's about legacy, it's about family. And talking about family, Chris Eubank Jr announcing to his father in that beautiful clip that he is about to become a grandfather to twin boys.
Did you see the emotions on his face? You
Unbelievable.
Know, he talked about it today in the studios as well. Yeah, no, it's a fantastic thing. Like I say, that will bring that relationship back stronger than ever. You know, and that is really, really important. It's a beautiful thing to see. You know, that's what we wanted to see. And you know, it's great news for Eubank Jr as well. I suppose the big question mark now is: will that drive him on more? Will that kick him on more? Or will that make him a little soft?
It will. No, it'll drive him on.
Yeah, well, I'm with you. I'm in that camp. I'm in that camp. But now that is the question that is floating around. There's so many narratives around this fight going into Saturday night, which makes it, for me, even more intriguing than the first one.
I agree with you, and I think we're going to end now on this final question. Both men look primed already. Conor Benn's as cool as a cucumber. Chris Eubank is cool anyway. He's still the bigger man. He's still fought at the higher level as Eubank Jr. What did we learn today, perhaps, that we haven't mentioned yet?
I think that both guys look like they've got an aura around them. You know when somebody.
I agree.
You know when somebody's in a room and you can feel that the electricity from both of these guys is quite incredible. You know, there's superstar written all over both of these guys. They know what they're going into here. What we've learned about from Conor Benn is that he's controlling his emotions. That makes him a much more dangerous character. A happy fighter, as I always say, is a dangerous fighter. And he looks like he's in a great place right now. And for Eubank Jr, he knows what he's going into, because I think he may have underestimated Conor in that first fight and had to dig deep and show that championship heart, you know, to pull himself through those last few rounds. He knows now what he's going into, and that may help him going into this fight.
We cannot wait for round 13. We can't even wait for tomorrow, where we get the fighter workouts back here in a big ring, when they will all show the shape and tenacity they will bring on Saturday night. It's a brilliant undercard, by the way, as well. Look out for all our interviews on the talkSPORT Boxing YouTube channel after a mega day of content. Go look at it, study it, inwardly digest and enjoy unfinished business. We will see you, me and Spenny, tomorrow.